I mean, Christy, can I ask?
I know.
Okay,
I'm like gas pedal or brake, gas pedal or brake, gas pedal or brake. Where are we going?
and I'll bring in. There's a group of people, and because I've seen this in my practice of women who are carrying the burden of these teachings, but their husbands have no idea.
Mhm.
And so sometimes, and the men are like, "You're taught what?" And they're like, "I don't want that for you." But it kind of brings this thing of like, what are men being taught? What are, a lot of guys are like, "I don't want you to feel that way." Some of that purity culture teaching. But there's a lot of guys that are like, "I don't want you to feel that way, and I don't want to be a hierarchy with you." And they have even no idea their wives are holding that inside, because sometimes we think, well, they must have gotten the same teachings we did. They must know that I'm taught I can't wear a short skirt, I can't wear a two-piece at the beach, or, every man at the beach is going to be, in
It's my
danger.
job to
It's
protect
my
everybody's eyes around me.
job. Everyone's right. And it's just another group here of like but the women, that's not always enough for them to release what they've been holding, because it is so ingrained. I mean, it just goes deeper and deeper, and they have a hard time even accepting that from their husbands, because they're like, "I don't even know what to do with that."
Yeah, we found a lot of evidence of that, especially in our focus groups, where it was not the men who were giving their wives these messages. Now, there are some marriages where it definitely is the men as well, and those marriages tend to get quite abusive with a lot of coercion, et cetera, et cetera. But then there's the marriages where the women had internalized the stuff. Because remember that when it comes to Christian marriage books, probably 80% of them are read by women. Like 80% of the readers are female, right? Men don't go around reading marriage books, but women will read Power of a Praying Wife and Sacred Marriage and Love and Respect, and For Women Only. Like, we'll read these books in the millions, and the Christian marriage industry is $1 million business. Like it, over the last 10 years, we're talking like 40 or $50 million. Like this is a lot of books, right? And so women have read all of these things. Women have internalized these things. Women want to serve Jesus, and they've been taught this is how you serve Jesus. And men, they've just mostly been going to men's breakfasts where they don't talk about any of this stuff. Maybe they talk about, hey, you got to be faithful to your wife and you got to show up and take initiative, but that's about it. And so they have no idea. And we talked to a lot of women who, when they finally, like, I remember Kay's story. Kay's story was so great. So she had a really good sex life with her husband. She had been orgasmic. She wanted sex. She enjoyed sex. But after each child, she got postpartum depression, and it got harder and harder to get out of it. And after her third child, she was really struggling. But she kept initiating sex every 72 hours because she felt like that's what she was supposed to do. Multiple books talk about the 72-hour rule and how he can't go without sex for, more than 72 hours. So she would initiate sex, but she wasn't orgasming anymore. She wasn't enjoying it. And then finally one day she just said, "I can't handle this anymore." And he's like, what's going on? And she explained, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I never want you to do anything you don't want to do. Like, never, ever, ever. If we are in the middle of something and you're like, I don't want to do this, I want you to tell me, and we will just stop and just go to sleep." And over the next few months, he really proved that to her. And so there were several times where she was like, "Yeah, I thought this was going to work for me tonight, but it's just not." And he just stopped. And she realized that it was her choice, and she began to get orgasmic again, and her sex drive came back, and they settled into a new routine of sex about every 72 hours. But this time it's because she wants it, because he proved to her that she wasn't obligated. This was an experience that they were sharing together. And that made all the difference when she knew that she could trust him.